dull on the mic? First of all, English is not even his primary language.
He's not the one. Sorry.
They're not the ones. Yep. They are.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of season 2 of Smarkin Around. And hello, everybody who are new and returning viewers. And you guys know us by now. If you don't, we will introduce ourselves. And here we go. First up, we got the guy, the biggest baby face in Smarkin Around history. His name is Johnny Boy.
What's up, man? Good to see you guys. Happy New Year. It's 15 days late, but Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Johnny.
Happy New Year, Johnny. And Joe, the guy you got to say his name more than twice because he is so damn nice. Joe.
Yeah. What's the haps? What's crack-a-lackin'?
And
Let's
our
do this.
stats guru, the man he goes by Second City Rain. His name is Ray.
What is up, Smark Nation? Good evening. Happy Wednesday night. Hope everybody's keeping warm. It is a cold week here in the Midwest. How you doing, Carl? How you doing, Johnny? Joe. The only Joe that I believe in around here.
Holy Joe, that we
Thank you, Ray.
So, what's new with you guys, man? How you guys been this week? How's everything?
Dealing with that weather, like how Ray said, man. It was like 5 degrees this morning. No, it was one degree this morning.
Really
I don't know,
is
it's
over
balls.
degrees up here, but no matter how long you've been living in the Midwest, you can never get used to the cold winter weather. You just can't.
Right. I feel like it
No.
just hit us out of nowhere.
Hopefully,
And then,
everybody's car starts. There's been some issues with people's cars not starting.
yeah,
That is true. Just make sure you always keep your gas tanks full
right.
and to have plenty of windshield fluid on
hmm
hand just in case you have a frozen windshield. It will thaw it out at the snap of a finger.
For sure, there's a lot of wrestling we're gonna cover for you guys. So I hope you
Right.
guys enjoy the show. We're gonna dive right into the topics for everybody. So let's get over to the topics, and
Let's do
we'll
it.
start with Monday Night Raw, the second episode on Netflix. First of all, boys, how was your experience on Netflix so far? Any internet connection issues, any connectivities, any just UI problems you've been dealing with just streaming on Netflix or no?
Johnny?
John?
Well, no, I think everything's been going pretty smooth on my end. Maybe a couple glitches here and there, but nothing that I really noticed, to be honest. It's been pretty smooth sailing for me. I don't know about anybody else.
Joe, how about your newfound Netflix subscriptions we got, buddy?
It's going pretty smooth, and the ads are kind of don't really bother me. If I watch the replays, I can skip through them. Is that a thing? Can you really do that, or is it just? Am I just finding this out now?
So I think
Ads are like what, 3 minutes, right? Are they all 3 minutes every time?
I think.
Yeah, kinda.
I think there's different subscription tier levels where you get no ads, and then there's like an international one where you see what's going on during the commercial breaks and stuff like that. So I think there's different tiers to different levels to this stuff.
Because I have one of my subscriptions. I have it where there's no ads, but then that specific live event, it says this contains ads as like a disclaimer.
Right.
Because if
Like,
not, if that's true, then I'm about to type up an email right now to the Netflix customer service.
Ray, what about you on your on the Netflix journey so far for WWE?
No issues with me whatsoever. Everything has been running smoothly. It's not like the Mike Tyson and Logan Paul fight, thankfully. However, Johnny Boy, he brings up a very interesting point about the whole ads situation. I have been reading from people who live outside of the US that when they watch Raw on Netflix, they do not get commercial breaks. The stream just continues despite being on commercials, which is well, I'm jealous.
Jealous there. We got to figure out how to get that. We will. But for to our first topic, moving on, the 2.5 hour runtime. Is shorter or better, boys? Johnny boy, what do you think?
I feel like it's been working out. The first episode was all the big stuff, right? It was they got SmackDown superstars and the big names, but like this episode that just passed, I felt like that was like the perfect timing that it needed, and maybe there could be more for other. I mean, there's so many superstars to go for, but I feel like I feel like it's good. Shorter is might be better in this aspect, but 2.5 hours is like perfect.
Joe, what's your thought on the shorter runtime? Does it have a bigger impact?
I was gonna say, hell yeah, shorter is better. I'm only 5'5". Damn. Um, yeah, it's we can squeeze enough content in there in 2.5 hours. I like it. Doesn't kind of indifferent, but yeah, it's all right.
Ray, does it seem more engaging, and or does it feel tight to you?
As some people would like to say, less is more. So did not mind the 2.5 hour runtime deal at all. I thought it was smooth, and they managed to fit everything in, aside from the women's IC title match, which we will get to later on.
Perfect, perfect. Moving on. So the art of the opening segment. So this is a pretty big topic, some topic among wrestling fans. When you open a show hot, doesn't matter if it's a match or if it's a promo, a segment. Is that what will hook the new audience from Netflix to uh, watch WWE Raw? Johnny boy.
I think it depends on who does it. I mean, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, they got pretty hot feud going on right now. And CM Punk, he's always a pipe bomb. So it really depends on, in my opinion, on who does it. Because if you have Otis go out there, as much as I love that guy, um, I don't think he's gonna get as much of a pop as somebody like CM Punk would.
Oh yeah.
Right. So Joe, what do you think? Does the show rely on a hot opening segment?
I'll tell you this: for the past year or so, SmackDown has been relying on 10-minute Cody blah blah blahs. Fast forward. I could do without the long intros. No, the monologues don't do much for me. I mean, state your case, move on.
I'll throw a little dinger. Hot opening segment or a big closer, Ray?
I think maybe, you know what? I'm going to go with the hot opening segment. I believe that they made the right choice with opening this week's Raw with, CM Punk and Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre of all people. And it is to help build up the hype for the Royal Rumble match, because that is the point we are on the road to the Royal Rumble. We are, what, 3 weeks away?
Yes. Yes, about
Open the
3 weeks ago.
show, open the show with a segment, close the show with a match, which is how they usually do it for Monday nights. It's been happening like that since forever.
I totally agree, but I do agree that the opening segment is there to draw your audience right off the bat. Obviously, like back to Johnny's point, it does depend on what the opening segment is, if it's a match or who's involved and how the storyline um is distributed throughout the whole shows, and it does matter. And kudos to Triple H for opening the show hot last week. So that's my take on it. We'll move on, and then probably the
I actually want to add on to that real quick, Carl,
okay.
before I go over. So it actually could go into Penta's debut too, but you said hot opening or banger of a closer.
Yeah, big
So,
closer.
so like honestly, if it was up to me, I'd want to set that crowd off right away. You know what I'm saying? Get that energy up there, and then somebody like Penta, whose match was pretty much next after that segment, that everybody's already in the mood. So I think the booking overall just is very important.
Right, exactly. So, like, we're gonna move over to the Penta's debut. This is the probably the hottest topic, as Joe likes to say, the biggest news story in wrestling this week. Penta's debut. Johnny boy, What did you think about Penta's debut, and was a new star born? And one more question added into this: will he fit in the WWE system, or will they just maybe have him hyped for a while and move on?
So I never really heard of Penta before, if I'm being honest. I've seen highlights of a luchador doing crazy acrobatic moves, and I was like, wow, that'd be pretty dope. And that goes to show that I didn't really watch Indies or AEW, but I think he's absolutely amazing. I did do a little bit of research, just to see who he was and where he comes from. This guy's awesome. I was really excited to see him come. Um, will he fit in? I think yes, because it's just going to add on to more diversity, is what we need. It's not really about everybody being the same. That's the beauty of wrestling. There's different styles, different kind of gimmicks and stuff like that. So yeah, I think he'll fit in just nice.
Joe, what are your thoughts about his debut? Will he fit in? Is it Penta time, or will he just burn out
I
because
think
of
no
this?
doubt he certainly fits in. I mean, Monday Night Raw is kind of due for a luchador, but then again, if you think about it like this, has has it lost its mystique? Because like social media, spoiler blogs, and dirt sheets and what have you, they kind of ruin the surprise, if you will, because people in the crowd were already throwing up Penta signs and wearing Penta merch, and I like how they foreshadowed it the week before, again with saying that Chad Gable struggles against luchadors, and the GM is going to find a luchador to go up against him. But there was so much talk behind it that it kind of killed the surprise. Another take I have on Penta is, yes, like I said, he does fit in because to give it a little bit of diversity. And let's think about it like this: since Rey Mysterio is in his, I don't know, final years, could they be on a collision course in a big lucha libre, just to find out who the greatest luchador in professional wrestling today is? Him or even Dirty Dom?
Ooh. Ray, what are your thoughts on Penta's debut? Does his style fit with WWE type wrestling? Will he be a superstar, a megastar? And if Rey Mysterio is the gold standard, do you see him reaching that pinnacle anytime?
I, for one, was very happy and pleased with Penta's WWE debut. His theme was badass. His entrance was badass. They did him right. I'm very happy with the way they handled him. I've been a fan of this man since the Pentagon Junior days slash Pentagon Dark, since the Lucha Underground days. So he's been my favorite luchador ever since then. After him, it's between him and Dragon Lee. But after last, was it 2 nights ago? It was a fantastic debut. I like how it was an actual match. It wasn't a squash match, because that is how they mostly handle debuts, so to speak, whether it's a new wrestler from a different company or an NXT call up. But thankfully, Monday, that was not the case. They actually let him and Chad Gable cook. They gave him time. That is how you make a new star. That's how you showcase them. Very happy with how they did him. Will he be a top guy? I believe so. Will he fit into the WWE? He's doing pretty well so far.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great hot take. Penta should do just fine. I don't know if he's ever going to reach that standard of a Rey Mysterio, the longevity. That's hard to do at this point, right, in his career.
Agreed, agreed. But
Um,
I just have one request. If you want to book him right, just keep him far away from Rey Mysterio and the LWO. The last thing I want is for Penta to be trapped in catering. Because look what has happened. Look what they've done to Dragon Lee.
Hmm.
yep.
It's sickening.
Yeah,
Penta does not deserve that of all people.
Keep him
They should
away
they
from
need
factions in general,
they
even
need to
yeah.
Carlito.
disband the LWO, because it's a flop. The only reason why they brought them together was for Backlash in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and then after that show ended, The LWO just fizzled out. They're just lost in the shuffle.
I
I
mean, you could go back to multiple luchadors who were supposed to be like the gold standard.
Oh yeah,
Sin Cara could is just one of them that comes to mind. You
Sin
know,
Cara.
or
Andrade.
Safe to say, Penta has had
Andrade.
a better debut than Sin Cara. Andrade, they really missed a boat with him. But hopefully, like now that he's back with the company, hopefully, they give him that slow burn to the rightful top. I would like to see him as Intercontinental Champion someday because he is yet to win that title. But for now, he's on SmackDown. The waiting game continues. But yes, you guys are right. I can say the same for Kalisto.
a Chicago native, Kalisto. Yes.
Hmm.
And now that Penta's in the WWE, it could be a matter of time before his brother Ray Phoenix
Mm.
comes in as well. And I hope and pray to God that he does because that man is crazy, stupid talented. I mean, I've really enjoyed watching him in the Lucha Underground days as well. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when TK decides to free him from his contract.
Imagine them against what Motor City Machine Guns. Is that what they're called?
That would
Yeah.
be an absolute banger. And those
That would be
guys,
a banger.
Motor City Machine Guns, they were my favorite tag team in TNA. So seeing them versus the Lucha Brothers, that would cook.
That would cook.
So we're
Let
gonna play.
cook.
We're let him cook. We're gonna play a little fantasy booking now since we have a new WWE debut with Penta.
Oh, here we go.
John Boy, his second match, Monday Night Raw, third episode on Netflix. Who would you like to see Penta go up against?
I'm just gonna say it because I saw him do a sick sling blade. Maybe Finn Balor.
Joe,
Yeah, I like that one. I like
I'm
that
gonna
one.
say maybe Ludwig Kaiser.
some Ludwig right there. Okay, perfect. Ray,
I mean, the name that I want to say right now, unfortunately, is still on the shelf. Ilya Dragunov.
Oh
yeah,
Oh my,
man, that guy
yeah,
back.
that is the one
yeah,
that I would like to
definitely.
see. But current, I agree with your Finn Balor statement. That would be a banger of a match. And just what Penta did with a mat wrestler like Chad Gable, it's sometimes those dynamics they don't work. But yeah, credit to Chad, right? He got him over because it takes two to get something like this, a
Yes,
debut over. It takes two, so credit to Chad Gable in that respect as well.
they
Yeah,
worked pretty well
props.
together.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
give
just
them that.
straight talent, great chemistry there that they showed.
Well, one of was this one of the best televised or well, can we call Raw televised? Okay, well, we're gonna call it televised match, right?
Net,
Is this one of the best
nice.
televised match in recent memory?
Yes, and one of
Yeah,
the best
yeah,
debuts
hmm
in recent memory. So I'm very happy for
yeah,
Mr. Cero Miedo.
yeah.
And how
Yeah,
sweet of
buddy.
him to have his family there at ringside just supporting him. It was a
Perfect.
sweet, wholesome moment.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
wholesome.
that was very wholesome, and it took him a very long time to get to WWE, but he's here now, and now he's making a big splash and great debut
Yeah,
Just
better late
on
than
that
never.
end.
keep him on them singles.
Keep him on the singles, no faction
No
involvement.
faction.
Okay, next we go to CM Punk versus Rollins. Is this a rivalry done right? What I
Yes.
mean by that is, can WWE always come back to this rivalry and make it blockbuster? Is this storytelling masterclass, or is this something that you typically don't want to see anymore? John?
Uh, we've been seeing it since his return at Survivor Series, and it's been something that we've been waiting for so long. And that match that they had on the first Monday Night Raw was fire. Um, yeah, dude, just keep it heated, just like it is. Those promos that they've cut just feel so personal, feel so real, you know. And I love that about that, that they could just talk and say whatever they want. So yeah, I love it. I think they're doing it right because once again, they could just get thrown out there and say, "Hey, go do this," but they're making it happen the way that it is.
Joe, is it the promos, history, or just the sheer star power that makes this rivalry work?
I mean, all of the above. But honestly, I don't know how much longer they can cook this. This may get overcooked, like I've said in the past. There with this rivalry, there needs to be some finality to it. There needs to be an end game. There needs to be closure, like as he did, as CM Punk did with Drew McIntyre. Um, so I don't know how they're going to write that in, how they're going to book that as a like some closure between the two of them. Because yeah, like you said, it's become very personal, and they just keep going back and forth at it every week. So I like the rivalry, I like the storyline, but I want to see some closure. I like to see what happens as an end game.
All right, Ray, what's your take on why this feud has WWE fans hooked?
I like to believe it's because of the similarities and the promos between these two men, and the back and forth promos between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. They cook without fail, and they really know how to sell their match. And then when the match came, so when the bell rang, it met expectations. How long will this rivalry cook for? I'd say for like a good while, but like Triple J said, there needs to be an end game. Is it going to happen now? Will it be a WrestleMania? Who knows? But we both know is that both CM Punk and Seth Rollins have announced themselves entering the Royal Rumble match.
That's an interesting dynamic, and I can't wait to see the Royal Rumble and see how all this plays out. Uh, History has been made again. For the first time, there's a women's IC champion, and that's Lyra Valkyria. Lyra winning the women's IC title, did it feel like a statement moment? Do you think this new title will elevate the women's division moving forward, or does it risk being overshadowed? John, what is your take?
I like Lyra, I really do, but like I really don't feel like she's been in my opinion, I don't think she's been in that focus for title picture for me. Like she hasn't really done anything. I feel like it's like a Roman Reigns effect. Like they're trying to shove her down our throats and give her the title and all that. That's how I felt. Honestly, I think Dakota Kai should have won that. I think she deserves, you know, that title for how long she's been here and what she's done. But I hope it does nothing but good things.
So, Joe, John obviously brought up a good point just regarding Lyra's experience on the main card and her, getting this title so soon. Do you think it's going to overshadow the women's IC title?
First of all, Johnny Boy, how dare you blaspheme our tribal chief, Roman Reigns,
Answer the question, Joe.
Cody Crybaby.
Answer the question, Joe.
All right. I think that was the match of the night, to be honest with you. That suplex off the apron was hellacious.
One moment.
Uh,
One moment.
well, and I thought that again. I say what you want. I thought that was the match of the night. They both earned that number one contendership for that title, and it's good that the women have a secondary title on Raw. But like John said, I'll agree with him here that uh, Lyra Valkyria is good. She's got some appeal. She's got some aura, but I think the crowning her that title was a little bit rushed.
Ray, does this elevate the women's division, or do you feel they should have went the other way?
Well, knowing that Lyra Valkyria, I've watched her on NXT. She was a good NXT Women's Champion. She was a fighting champion. Although I'm not that big of a fan on Lyra, I'm not fully sold on her. But I will give credit where credit is due. I believe she will elevate that title. She will be a fighting champion for the a fighting women's intercontinental champion, just like how she was a fighting NXT Women's Champion. But I'm most likely not in the minority where I say that Dakota Kai should have been the women's IC champion. She has been done dirty time and time again. And she's been in the WWE for many years now, and they still haven't given her due. And when I say her due, they haven't given her her solo moment. They haven't given her a singles title yet. Like, what's taking so long? And another problem I have with the match is that it felt rushed. It felt short. It was over 8 minutes. At least let the women cook in the final. What are you doing? Why is it that when tournaments like these, they let them cook during the qualifying matches and the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the semifinals, but then when you get to the final, the match is always underwhelming. Like, that has to stop.
These gauntlet tournaments, I'm not the biggest fan. So my experience with gauntlet tournaments, obviously King of the Ring, right? That was a dragged out. Sometimes it was in one pay per view, right? You had that tournament, the whole tournament or whatever, and then you had it dragged out through weeks later on and whatever. Uh, yeah, I do agree with your sentiments, and I agree with 3/4 of the host sentiments that Dakota Kai should have probably, you know, got that win and became the first women's IC title. But we will see where Lyra goes and if she could cook with it. I just don't want this title to mean like just nothing. You know what I mean? I want it to
Yeah.
be like this title. Now she's champion. Now she should elevate herself to go for the women's championship, right? The
Yes.
heavyweight championship. And that's how it should be, as we've seen in the past with the men's IC title. It's like this person will be the next one to hold our heavyweight championship eventually.
Could be the workhorse belt for the women.
But dare you say the women a heavyweight? That's unheard of. You don't mention their weights, Carl.
Oh, I apologize. The women's championship. Okay. So okay, next topic: how recap packages hook new fans. We saw a couple good recap packages coming up. Are these necessary throughout the show to kind of recap what's going on in a feud or a rivalry or something that's gonna happen in an upcoming match or even a future match that's not on that show? Johnny boy, what's your thought?
Yeah, I think recaps are. I mean, it's not. I don't think they're. Yeah, I mean, you want to know what's happened before. You don't want to really want to walk into something without knowing what's going on sometimes. So yeah, recaps are good in my opinion.
Joe, do recap packages still work?
Yes, I think highlights and vignettes are very, very important. Not only that, not only are they doing the highlights and vignettes, they're actually having a ticker on the bottom of the screen throughout the broadcast of the results. So yeah, they've been doing that a lot lately, and I think that is important. In case you do, not everybody has DVRs, not everybody has, the capabilities to rewind and rewatch. So yeah, I think those are important.
You
I don't
bring up
mind the recaps.
drama.
Ray, do you think fans should just keep up themselves, or is it a necessary tool?
I think the recaps are 100% necessary. Recaps have been happening ever since we started watching wrestling, so we're pretty much used to it by now. We don't mind them very much, just as long as they don't overdo it.
Right. So yeah, over like there's a fine line. If you have a recap package every match going on, it kind of stops the flow of the whole show. I think sometimes.
It
Do you guys
does.
agree with that?
At times, yeah, it can get repetitive sometimes,
Not as
but
bad as too many ads during the PLEs.
Perfect. Yep. Okay, so next topic. Tag team wrestling needs this. Man, we've kind of crushed the tag team division. We talked about it a lot. So my question to you guys, with the War Raiders getting that big spotlight at the main event street fight, do you think WWE is finally rebuilding its tag team divisions or is it just short-term fix right now? John boy.
Um, it always feels like it's a short-term fix, especially with these tag teams nowadays. I just gotta start booking them. Just start putting them in more matches, showing them off more. Let them. I mean, they just got a new identity, right? Now you guys are the War Raiders, so they just need more spotlight. That's all.
Joe, are we finally rebuilding its tag team division or short-term fix?
Well, I want to say that the the tag team formerly known as the Viking Raiders, they deserve their flowers. I think they deserve those titles. But I am absolutely appalled with on SmackDown with Jimmy Uso tagging with Cody. Oh my gracious! And also on this past Monday Night Raw, they foreshadowed what is that the upcoming Saturday night's main event with Gunta and Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. Neither one of those packages work. They need to bring back the Usos as the greatest tag team of all time. Let's get those brothers back together. Get them back on there. Hell, even feud with the heel New Days.
Ray, WWE Tag Team Division needs what?
Needs the Usos.
Needs more teams, needs the Usos, but right now Jay is really shining as a single star. He's a top merchandise seller, so I expect big things for him in 2025. I'd say they're doing a good job with the SmackDown Tag Team division. They are featuring the champions weekly, but then on Raw this week when the War Raiders came out, thankfully, they got their NXT name back, which is what they were called when they debuted on NXT, the War Raiders. Although personally, I remember when they were originally War Machine back in the Ring of Honor days. But when they came out on Monday, I legit forgot that they were the tag team champions. So they need to work on the Raw tag team division. They need to feature their World Tag Team Champions more, just like how they're featuring the WWE Tag Team Champions on SmackDown. Make it equal, please. But yes, Raw needs more tag teams. I think SmackDown is fine.
Yeah, I'm sure if I could come up with an answer, uh, Hunter and creative could come up with the answer, but I don't got it. Yeah, you're just saying more teams, more feuds, more integrated storytelling with maybe singles competitors and maybe more spotlight, like featuring maybe a tag team in the main event. So it was a good to see the tag team in the main event at some point, but like I said, it's still a long way away from actually being one of the best tag team divisions that we've seen in a while, which it's not. Moving on, Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax, and Bailey segment. Did this segment do anything for you guys? Was it a filler? Did it fully land, or would you do something differently with these three? John Boy.
I think I just get rid of Bailey. To be honest, I don't. I'm not a big fan of Bailey. I find it boring. And then Rhea, Nia, just I don't know. Give somebody new to Rhea to feud with. Maybe we could bring back Charlotte Flair and have that go again or something. I don't know. It's just I feel like there's not enough talent or stardom right now to change anything. So I'm kind of tired of it.
Joe, did this hit the spot, or something could be done differently with these three? Elevate more new superstars, like John said.
Well, too bad for John because I think Bailey's getting a big push right now because she's number one contender, I believe. And not only that, she made an appearance on NXT. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, but let's see what happens with the women's division. I like so far. I like Tiffany Stratton as a champion. Rhea. I don't know who else is gonna go up against Rhea. Yeah, it's. I like the mystique of it all. I like the mystery of it all. But as far as
Raquel,
Bailey goes, she's not going anywhere. She's gonna be around for a while. They're not getting rid of her.
Ray, Joe says Tiffany Stratton is holding the belt well. What do you think about these three, though? The Rhea, Nia, and Bailey segment. Did it hit what you needed from the women's division at this point?
Well, at first I thought Nia was going to be Rhea's first challenger for the women's world title, but thankfully it wasn't. This segment was clearly just done to help hype up the women's Royal Rumble. Like I said, make it equal, because for the last few weeks they've been hyping up the men's Royal Rumble with these men who have already entered, and now they're finally doing the same with the women, and rightfully so. And yes, Bailey is having a bit of a push right now. She's going to be appearing on all three shows this week. She appeared on Raw. She appeared on NXT last night, confronting the former NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. And this Friday, she has a women's title shot against the new women's champion, Tiffany Stratton.
Exactly. Moving on. Actually, kind of stay on the same topic. Uh, so we skipped one. Sorry for that slide. It must have just fell off the thing. But the women's division, all eyes on Rhea. Let's go on that topic before we talk about NXT. Rhea Ripley. It pretty much showed last night her immense popularity in the women's division. But is WWE doing enough to capitalize on this momentum with the new title change that she's holding from Liv Morgan? What do you think, John Boy?
Um, for me, I don't. I kind of feel like it was too soon to give it back to her. I don't know. I don't know if she should have won it back on Raw. I think she should have won it back probably on Royal Rumble or did something else. I don't know. But Rhea, yeah, she's a star for sure, and she's gonna put on bangers no matter who she faces. But I don't know. I feel like it was too soon to give her that title again.
Joe, what's your thought on Rhea being the champion and her just immense popularity across the board?
I think she's a beast. I think she's going to carry it well. She deserves it. And like John said, she puts on bangers. Um, I I'd like to see perhaps if I don't know the status on these two, but if Charlotte Flair comes back, her feuding with Rhea would be a good storyline, as well as Asuka. Where are they? Where are those two? I know they've suffered injuries, but I don't know the status of those two. But I hope they cook something big with Rhea coming up since she beat Liv. Let's see. I like her as the current champion, as a current women's champion.
Ray, what's your take on immense popularity, her being champion, and are we capitalizing on the moment?
I love Mommy. I'm just hoping that now, as a two-time women's world champion, I'm hoping they actually give her a good, memorable reign with the belt the second time around. Because in her first reign, and just so we're clear, it's not her fault. She doesn't book herself. Creative has really lacked in giving her challengers and good storylines for the title. But the one thing that really lacks right now for Rhea Ripley is challengers for her title. I mean, look at the women on SmackDown. In the women's title picture on SmackDown, it's pretty good. You have a lot of women there, enough challengers for anyone to challenge Tiffany Stratton. I hate to say it, but Nia had a pretty good reign because she had some good, legit challengers. That is what the Raw women's division lacks. They need more challengers for Rhea Ripley because the women who were just mentioned just now, Rhea has already beaten. She beat Charlotte 2 years ago at WrestleMania in a passing of the torch moment, and revenge from WrestleMania 36 in 2020. And she beat Asuka for the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania 37 in 2021. Mommy needs more challengers. And as Joe said, where are they? Clearly, Asuka's still on the shelf. Becky should be on her way back very soon. Same with Charlotte Flair, as she was visiting NXT last night backstage because she took a picture with the Meta Girls, who are the number one contenders for the women's tag team titles, Lash Legend and Jakara. What's her name?
Jackson,
Jackson.
Jakara
Jackson.
Jackson. But yes, they could very well be on their way right now, very soon. Who knows? Maybe the Royal Rumble pop that they might get. But I do see with Andrade being on SmackDown, Charlotte could be making a return on SmackDown instead rather than to be on Raw because her and Andrade are a married couple. And when it comes to the drafts, the brand split, they don't split couples unless they draft them both onto one show. But I do see Becky returning, and when she does, it'll most likely be on the Raw brand. Who knows? Maybe a rematch from WrestleMania last year. Who knows? Anything could happen between now and WrestleMania. I'm just hoping that creative does not fail Rhea Ripley again as the champion. Actually cook with the reign. Give her a good, memorable feud. Please. A good, memorable run. Please.
Speaking of not failing, NXT January 14th after New Year's Evil. I know Ray likes this topic, some NXT, and your boy Karl Smarks watched some NXT finally. So there we go.
Thank you so much for
Let's talk
being
about some. Let's
open-minded.
recap. Oba Femi's reign. Thoughts on the ambush and how it sets up the rivalry. John Boy, Oba Femi's reign so far.
He was great as North American champion. I remember that match he had with Dijak and what's his name? The other guy, he's super tall guy. But dude, his reign in general, he's just dominant, man. This guy's a whoo,
Who?
whoo, whoo.
Bailey's NXT return. So how will the return impact that women's division?
The role model. Mm, I mean, she's getting her big push, but for NXT, uh, I don't think anything.
I don't think anything.
Julia's world. Julia is the next.
Yeah, unless they do like a Becky Lynch run where they give her that title and then she has to pass the torch to somebody else.
You think so?
No, hell
You think
no.
That
you see that
I
happening?
don't think
I
I
don't
don't think
see that
that's
happening.
likely, but I'm surprised if they did it with Becky and everybody has the hots with Bailey.
Yeah.
Ethan Page. Let's talk a little bit of Ethan Page. Page is establishing herself as the future contender. Feuding with Javon and Dante.
Ego.
I like him because yeah, he does his character so well.
Yeah.
He's arrogant, and he very entertaining to watch.
Oh, absolutely. I was so happy for him when he won the NXT title.
The way that
However,
he did
I
it.
was
Yeah.
not. It was very smart.
Yeah.
It was what was it? A fatal four way or a triple threat?
Yeah, I think either one of the
I
two.
th- I think it was a fatal four way, but he was the smartest man in the match because he remembered the rule that the champion does not have to be involved in the decision in order to lose the title. I'm just not happy with the fact that his reign ended so soon. I wasn't thrilled when he dropped the title back to Trick
Trick
Williams, but
Williams.
thankfully he lost the title for good last week to Obafemi. Finally, the whoop that trick era is done and in the rearview mirror, and it's just a matter of time before he gets called up to the main roster. Trick Williams, whatever. But back to what you were saying. Let's just back it up for a second as to what Johnny was talking about. The whole Bailey situation on NXT. I do not see them pulling a Becky by having her win the NXT Women's title. It would be cool, but I wouldn't mind it. But I just don't see it happening. I like to believe they did it with Becky just to complete the circle of all four horsewomen have finally having a run with the NXT Women's title, with Becky being the only one who hasn't had a run with it. But it finally happened. The circle has been complete, and she is now officially a Grand Slam champion. So congrats to Becky Lynch. As for Bailey, I believe her confronting Roxanne Perez could be the start of a new fresh feud and an idea for Bailey to put over the rising star that is Roxanne Perez, and I am all for it.
Agreed. Tag team division NXT. What are your boys' thoughts? Talk a little bit about what Nathan Frazier and
Axiom.
Axiom
Axiom.
Braxium.
or
Rex.
Fraxium, yeah, that's what they call him.
Rex.
So they defended against OTM, right?
Yeah,
DIY was there.
Grand Theft Auto from Wish.
So what are your thoughts on that tag team division? Is it better than what you see in the main roster?
Always a
So
lot of
they're
fun to
gonna put
watch.
DIY back on NXT.
Well, they got nothing for him right now.
Yeah.
And then we were just talking about what tag team wrestling needs.
Yep.
More teams.
They're just dropping like we got none for you. Whatever.
Right.
Put them where they go. So
Give him
again,
the Corey Graves treatment.
Cora
Talking about
Jade. Cora
Cora
Jade.
Jade.
Yeah, Chicago product.
The future or just a drop in the bucket?
Hopefully, the future. She got her first win in 2025 this past yesterday on NXT, and now she had a little moment, a little stare down with the current TNA Knockouts champion. Could we be seeing Cora Jade challenging for the TNA Knockouts title
Is
based on
this
that exchange alone?
is it still Jordan Grace or did she
No,
lose
it's
it?
Oh no,
Come on.
she dropped it.
somebody else.
I believe she's having a farewell match against Tessa Blanchard.
Really?
Yes,
Mm.
many people believe that will be, I'm sorry, Jordan Grace's final match, and then once all of that is said and done, she could very well be on her way to the WWE.
That's another contender for Rhea if you think about it.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Like I said,
Valkyrie.
Rhea needs challengers, some good challengers.
But
Cool.
NXT right now is Julia's world. Oh, Julia.
It's
We're gonna
her.
let you boys do your thing with the AEW talks. Ray and Joe.
Come
Introducing this
on, Carl.
segment. Ray and Joe. Take it over for AEW. What do you got for us, Joe and Ray?
Man, Kenny Omega, he's back. Let me tell you something. Let me talk to you. Well, this has nothing to do with LA Knight, but suffered from diverticulitis, all right? I was hospitalized for a fucking week, and it sucked. It was the worst experience of my life. Kenny Omega had his guts ripped out of him. Literally, they cut out his intestines due to diverticulitis. And he just won his match tonight against Big Brian Cage. Unbelievable. I think he's probably in the top, my top of the list right now in the world. Kenny Omega, he's the guy. He's the man.
Agreed. His match with Brian Cage, it was a good opening match. I
Yeah,
mean, that's the difference between WWE and AEW. When it comes to WWE, they like to open the shows with an opening segment, but when it comes to AEW, they like to take you straight into the action. And what better way than to start off Dynamite than with a Kenny Omega match, a guaranteed banger?
yeah. I don't know how much more they're gonna work Kenny Omega if he's gonna be competing every week. I don't know if they're gonna align him once again or ally him once again with or ever with Will Osprey. I mean, those two guys are the couple of the best in the world right now. But
They literally
I'd like to
are.
see them challenge each other again one time, perhaps.
Them together in the ring as opponents, magic. But based on what we've been seeing in the past couple of weeks with the stare downs and them having a common enemy, the enemy of my enemy is my friend,
Is my friend.
maybe, just maybe, we could see them being a tag team sometime soon. And if so, with all these teases, I'm all for it. I would be very interested in seeing them as a tag team. And I'm
I don't
probably in
know.
the minority who says that.
I'd like to see them on a collision course, man. I mean, they're just the top two technical guys on the planet right now. I'd like to see that again. And they didn't even show that on an AEW televised event. That was all in London, right? I believe.
Yeah, all in London. That was a very interesting. That was a very interesting comment that I just read on YouTube.
Ray,
Kenny,
let's talk about Ricochet. I mean, for the three Smarks here, we've seen him live on SmackDown a couple of times already. He
yeah,
is now taking on a heel persona. He gets booed out of the stadiums almost every
yeah,
week.
he's becoming a heel. He is becoming a heel magnet. But I do agree with that comment from earlier saying that Kenny did not need WWE to succeed. I agree with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Kenny does not need WWE. WWE needs Kenny Omega. But back to what we were talking about. Yeah, Ricochet has become a heat magnet right now. He's becoming a cocky heel, and it's refreshing. I like what they're doing with Ricochet. He's being taken seriously. He's not trapped in catering. So him leaving the WWE and jumping to AEW was a very good decision for him.
Yeah.
And of course, unfortunately, we lost Samantha. But hey, whatever she wants to do, I'm happy for her. I support her all the way. But Ricochet, he's in a hot feud right now with Swerve Strickland.
Swerve.
And when that match happens on Dynamite in February, it's going to be a guaranteed banger. I'm really looking forward to this one. Could be a match of the year contender.
Yeah, I like that because when Ricochet was on SmackDown, they kind of played him into like a kind of like a superhero role, and it didn't really pan out. So I'd like to see how this goes. His heel persona.
I really did dig I really did dig the Nightwing gear that he debuted at SummerSlam a few years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Ricochet. I know people give him shit because they claim that he doesn't know how to cut a promo, but there was a time when your favorite wrestlers did not know how to cut a promo. Eventually, they'll get it. Practice makes perfect.
Well, I mean, wasn't he a product of the what is that, the developmental.
NXT, yeah. I just think it's funny that this negative energy towards Ricochet, wasn't directed at him during his NXT days. It just goes to show that not many wrestling fans watch NXT, and it shows, especially the casuals, aka the fans who only watch WWE, who only watch Raw and SmackDown. Seriously, give NXT a chance. You never know what you're missing. You're really missing out. It's a lot of fun. The action is non-stop, especially with the women's division. Their women's division is amazing. It's amazing how they have such a stacked women's division, and they showcase 80, at least 85% of them weekly. It's incredible. Oh
Well,
yeah,
that does it for me, guys. I gotta call it a night. I will talk to all of you next week.
Okay,
alrighty.
everybody, and thank you for joining us for this episode of Smarkin Around. I am your host, Karl Smarks. I'm here with Johnny Boy, Ray, and Joe, and we will call it a night. Thank you for watching, everybody. And we got one more comment. Here we go. Yes!
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
why you're
Yeah.
leaving the show.
Yeah, I like
Oh
Thank you
that.
yeah.
for participating.
Yeah.
You guys are the best. She is next. And tune in next week, same time, same day. You guys know what it is. Have a good night.
Have a good night, peeps.
Have a good night,
Night.
Smark Nation.